All right, joining me now is Tom Feeley, retired ICE director in New York. Tom, good to see you. So I find it fascinating that Mayor Adams is saying that Abbott is anti-American as a governor for sending the busloads of folks up to New York. But then does that mean that he's saying that Biden is an anti-American president for opening our borders to mass amounts of illegal migrants?
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me. The mayor might as well say, good for thee, but not me. The governor's not saying, I'm not going to take them. The mayor's the one that's saying, I'm not going to take them. So exactly who's the un-American one in this scenario?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. What do you make of the fact that, and I was one who did this, I criticized, I thought this was a political ploy of the governor to send those buses up, but it seems like the busloads of migrants, whether they're in New York City or in D.C., are having an impact on the mayor. And so is this strategy actually working to make liberal cities who support open borders deal with the consequences of illegal migration?
Well, you're right to be thinking that way, but the southern states, in their defense, they're getting hammered by the policies of this administration. So if you're not going to understand the message, maybe we should share the pain, which I think is what he's doing. Everybody's like, let's be open border, let's everybody in. But then you hear, well, not my community. Well, that's not how it works. We're being overrun on the border. The border's not secure. It's a free-for-all. So unfortunately, with this administration's policy, it's going to come to a community near you.
I think this was fascinating. Bill Maloogian has reported this, tweeted it out, and it was mentioned in the report we just gave, that over the last 3 months, New York City has been shipped, compliments of Texas, 4,000 migrants. They get 4,000 migrants a day in Texas, and to think that Mayor Adams is complaining what he gets in 3 months compared to what Texas gets in 1 day, that he's not joining hands with Governor Abbott saying, listen, we have to resolve this problem. They should both work together to put pressure on Joe Biden to actually secure the border to make sure this massive flood and flow stops.
Right. Maybe right now is a good time to ask the mayor how he feels about the green light law in New York. The green light law, if you're not familiar, doesn't allow ICE access to the DMV records and licensed data. So when you're on a fugitive operations team and you're trying to go find these people and you can't get a picture, you can't get a vehicle registration, you can't get an address, it makes it very difficult and challenging to find these people. They give $10 million a year to illegal aliens attorneys to support them. I believe, the New York State budget and the New York City budget is just chock full of millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money to allow illegal aliens to come to this state. You want to be a sanctuary city, you want to be a sanctuary state, here you go. Here's your opportunity to shine, right? I mean, what else are we supposed to do?
We're giving Governor Abbott saying, listen, I'm going to help you out. You want to be a sanctuary state and sanctuary city? Here you go. We're going to send folks to you. Here's what I found was fascinating. So about half of the migrants that are sent to New York City have actually left the city. And Mayor Adams was asked about that. And he said, well, they've left because they've said they fear serious crime. These are migrants who just got done with a trip with some of the most violent people on earth, the cartels. They come to New York City and they're like, listen, New York is too violent for us. We want to go somewhere else. What does that say about Mayor Adams and the safety of the city?
It's interesting, Sean. I had a good friend that was down there last week. His daughter's in the Coast Guard, and there were some activities down there with them. And he couldn't believe how much the city has changed in the 2 years he was down there before. You're stepping over homeless people on the sidewalk. Crime is rampant. He didn't feel very safe at all. And before the mayor, the city was still running pretty well. It wasn't as good as it has been in years past, but the city has changed. And it's very telling when you have illegal aliens that are brand new coming to this country. They go to the Big Apple and they're like, yeah, no thanks. Maybe I'll go to Jersey or something. It's unreal.
Not only that, it smells like marijuana and urine as well. So, Tom, I think it's a bad story for Mayor Adams and good for Abbott for making sure every liberal mayor has to deal with the consequences of open borders just like he does in Texas. I appreciate your insight and thanks for joining me.